Hello guys, I'm Mechanic Bright. Today I'm going to show Ford Escape 13 through the 19 rear differential. Ford name is RDU, rear drive unit clunking issue. I'm recorded this clunk noise while turning in the parking lot. Sometimes only happen once the driving and make a sharp turn either way. It makes clunking noise, kind of rotational noise at the back of the vehicle. Only happen in the parking lot and low speed. You guys try the here. This active torque coupling differential is electronically controlled all-wheel drive system. Once driving on the dry and paved road, usually driving power to the front wheel, and once detected the wheel spins, the coupling engages more power to the rear wheel, and then it's kind of four-wheel drive mode. I already diagnosed and replaced this RDU, rear drive unit differential whole assembly. This one is flange connected to the drive shaft, and then there's a two portion: front side torque coupling unit, back side driver differential. So usually a vehicle is binding and a shutter. Only this torque coupling problem. You guys can only replace the torque coupling this portion. Once they replaced, you guys setting and then program this 4-digit number. I'm gonna show what's going on and inside what's the problem. And this one's too much loud noise, and I take down this assembly, this real drive unit, and I'm gonna show what's going on and what's the problem. And I first remove this flange bolt and then tapping out this flange, and it depends on the model. Some of agents newer and it does not comes with a flange new drive unit. You guys transfer the this flange, and the next step, there's a case mount to the differential and a T40, and then you guys break off and then this mount bolt, and then take bolts out and then just slide the tab out, and then it comes out case. Sometimes it comes with the internal active torque coupling. Now it comes with together this internal torque coupling. It's a torque coupling inside clutch drive clutch set. That's why it's clutch worn out. This does not working properly clutch set, as a vehicle kind of shuttling and binding as a once turning. That happen once the binding and slightly shuttle. Only replace this torque coupling. Is torque coupling selling the separated? You guys can try to first slightly binding and shuttle. There's a ball screw and then T start with socket, and then there's inner magnetic is a connect to the connector pin, and this magnetic control to the all-wheel drive module. And once the rear wheel detected the spin, this magnetic activated by the all-wheel drive module, and then this inside torque coupling clutch kit working and through the power to the rear wheel. But this one is so loud, clunking noise. I found that after the tearing down, you guys see that differential spline all worn out is damaged. It does not serviceable. And I connected to the differential pinion to the coupling spline area. Also lusting. Why, I don't know why lusting, but it's totally damaged the spline area as well. So it's not serviceable. Only serviceable is active torque coupling, and once the damage like this differential pinion, you need to replace the whole assembly. even anything other differential gear and then differential side bearing, any other bearing, there's not serviceable. Both says once the internal problem and then kind of this pinion spline damage and then differential gear damage and then differential side or even pinion bearing damage, they says workshop says replace the whole assembly. It's so much expense and over 14 maybe 100 over $1,000. It's almost close to $2,000 Canada dollar. And then I replaced the used one as from the recycling, and that's much cheaper, only $500. So I'm gonna show more detail and then what inside. There's a so similar any other rear wheel drive F-150, any other rear drive differential. It's almost the same as the any common differential. So I take that out rear differential cover. Once the maybe oil leaking case, you guys can drop the differential unit and then resealing the silicone, it possibly can fix it. So now more inspecting the differential unit. There's nothing, any metal debris present, and all bearing looks fine. Also a pinion and the ring gear, any other gear is nothing bad. But only things this pinion spline is damaged. But there's no choice. They Ford doesn't selling any this pinion gear spline. So I look at the gear pattern and also gear looks good. Once you guys, maybe this side bearing something noise. I tear down the more. The seal was installed right here, and I pray out this differential unit. It is so tiny differential. It's F-150. I so many times take down the F-150 8.8 9.7 inches big differential, but it's so tiny because it's a so small car. And then there's a side bearing same as the big truck, but its size is much way small. Once you guys something problem, maybe side bearing, it has the Iljin. It's from the South Korea bearing company. Part number right here. Once the bearing something corrosion, scoring, something bearing noise, you guys can change this side bearing. There's a pinion gear and then pinion flange right here. Probably tap down is possibly comes out. I never tear down this pinion gear. So whatever you want. Once the spline like this is kind of normal, it's a good condition. I captured this picture on the YouTube, and then you guys can only replace the torque coupling kit and fix it, just the shuttle and binding. This job can do that without dropping differential in the vehicle. This is a whole assembly used one. Once the problem is the internal rear differential and then spline bearing and carrier, you guys change the whole assembly. Thank you for watching.